This burger has about 700 calories. To burn this off, you would have to run at a solid pace for close to an hour. Think about that. An hour of pounding pavement, joints taking a beating, lungs on fire just to cancel out one meal. Not even a big meal, just a burger. You cannot outrun your diet. The math does not work in your favor. But here is what I have learned after years of training myself and coaching others in the gym. You do not need to outrun anything. You need to outsmart your metabolism. Most people believe fitness is a suffering contest, that if you are not drenched in sweat in questioning your life choices, you are not making progress. So they run, they sprint, they do intervals until they want to quit. And 6 months later, they look exactly the same, except now their knees hurt and they hate cardio. I have developed a walking protocol built around 5 specific rules. It does not rely on torching calories through sheer misery. It relies on manipulating your hormones after you eat. It works with a biological mechanism in your metabolism that bypasses your body's own defense systems and targets belly fat directly without ever pushing your body into the stress zone that actually locks that fat in place. Give me the next several minutes. I will save you months of wasted effort and a lot of unnecessary suffering. Here's why your belly fat specifically won't move. Before we get into the rules, we need to have a quick conversation about why your belly fat is so incredibly stubborn while the rest of your body responds to dieting just fine. You go on a cut. Your face gets lean. Your arms slim down. Your collarbones start showing up to the party. But the belly? The belly is sitting there completely unbothered, reading a newspaper, not even making eye contact with your fitness goals. This is not bad luck, and it is not your genetics trolling you. It is biology. Fat cells have receptors on them. 2 kinds. Beta receptors act like green lights. When adrenaline hits them, they release stored fat to be burned. You have plenty of these in your face, arms, and chest. That is why those areas respond first. Then there are alpha receptors, red lights. When hormones hit these, they tell the fat cell to lock everything down and hold on. Your abdominal fat has a significantly higher concentration of alpha receptors than anywhere else on your body. Evolution put them there to protect your organs during starvation. Your body is not trying to embarrass you at the beach. It genuinely believes it is keeping you alive. Now here's where it gets frustrating. When you do high-intensity cardio, sprinting, intervals, anything that pushes you hard, your body dumps adrenaline and cortisol into your system. In your arms, that adrenaline hits the green lights. Fat releases, great, but in your belly, it hits the red lights. And cortisol specifically has been directly linked to increased fat storage around the midsection. So by running until you want to cry, you are chemically telling your belly fat to stay exactly where it is. You are working harder to stay fatter. I know. It is an unpleasant sentence to read. I was not thrilled when I learned it either. The solution is to move your body without stressing your body, and that brings us to the rules. Rule 1. The post-meal walk. This is the simplest rule on the list and also the one people argue with me about the most. So let me explain it properly before your skepticism kicks in. When you eat a meal, your blood sugar rises and your body releases insulin to manage it. Insulin is a storage hormone. While it is elevated, your body is not burning fat, it is storing energy. The goal is to get insulin back down as fast as possible so your body can return to burning mode. A study published in Diabetes Care found that walking for just 10 minutes immediately after eating produced significantly better blood sugar control than walking at other times of the day. Not a 2-hour hike. 10 minutes, around the block, down the hallway, whatever you have access to. So here is the rule. Take a 10-minute walk right after breakfast, right after lunch, and right after dinner. That is 30 minutes of walking spread across your day. That is 3,000 steps you barely had to think about. You did not need to change clothes. You did not need a gym membership. You just needed to stop sitting on the couch immediately after eating. By doing this 3 times a day, you are blunting the insulin spike from every meal and getting your body back into fat-burning mode faster each time. Over weeks, this compounds into a meaningful hormonal shift. Your body stops defaulting to fat storage after every meal and starts defaulting to fat burning. Try this for 2 weeks before you tell me it does not work. Rule 2. Stay in the lipid oxidation zone. Your body has 2 main fuel sources it pulls from during exercise: stored carbohydrates, which we call glycogen, and stored body fat. Your body burns these at different ratios depending on how hard you are working. At high intensity, your body wants fast fuel. It burns glycogen. The sandwich you had for lunch becomes the thing you are running on, not the fat around your waist. At low intensity, your body is patient. It is willing to unlock the slow-burning fat stores and run on those instead. Researchers call this the lipid oxidation zone, and it is the state where belly fat actually gets attacked. The practical way to know you are in this zone is simple. You should be able to hold a full conversation while walking, not gasping, not completely effortless either, just comfortably moving and talking. At this intensity, cortisol stays low. Those alpha receptors on your belly fat do not get activated, and fat oxidation runs at its highest rate. Here is the mistake I see constantly. People start their walk right, then they slowly speed up because they feel like they are not doing enough. 5 minutes in, they are speed walking. 10 minutes in, they are basically jogging, and now they have left the fat-burning zone entirely and entered the stress hormone zone. They work twice as hard and burn significantly less belly fat. Slow it down. I know that goes against every instinct you have been trained to follow. Do it anyway. Rule 3. Kill the calorie math myth. I have been in fitness long enough to know what you are thinking right now. You are thinking that running burns way more calories than walking, and the calorie math does not lie. You are right that running burns more calories during the workout. A 30-minute run burns roughly 350 calories. A 30-minute walk burns around 150. On paper, running wins easily. But humans are not spreadsheets. We run on hormones, not formulas. There is a hunger hormone called ghrelin. When you do high-intensity exercise, your body senses a significant energy deficit and spikes ghrelin hard. So you finish your run, you feel accomplished, and then 45 minutes later, you are absolutely ravenous. You eat a bagel, or an extra serving at dinner, or you stop somewhere on the drive home because your brain has completely overridden your willpower. That extra food is often 400 to 500 calories. You just ran yourself into a surplus and made yourself tired in the process. Walking does not do this. Walking is what exercise scientists call auto-regulated. It does not spike ghrelin. It does not leave you wiped out on the couch for the rest of the afternoon. You can walk for an hour, burn 300 calories of actual fat, and your appetite stays completely steady. You do not feel like you earned a reward. You just feel like you went for a walk. If you walk 1 hour a day and do that consistently 7 days a week, that is roughly 2,100 calories a week, nearly 2/3 of a pound of pure fat every single week without destroying your joints, flooding your system with cortisol, or spending 45 minutes fantasizing about a cheeseburger on the drive home. The runner usually quits by week 4 because their knees hurt or their motivation collapses. The walker is still going 6 months later wondering why their pants are all loose. Rule 4. Stack your NEAT. Here is a concept that most fitness content completely ignores. It is called NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. In plain language, it is every calorie your body burns outside of deliberate exercise. Standing, fidgeting, pacing around the kitchen, taking the stairs, all of it. Research shows that the difference in daily calorie burn between a naturally lean person and someone who struggles with weight is often not the gym, it is their NEAT. The gap can be as large as 2,000 calories per day. That is an enormous number, and neither person is lifting a single weight to create it. The lean person is just unconsciously moving more throughout the day. We are going to make that unconscious. We are going to engineer your NEAT deliberately. Hack 1. The parking lot rule. Stop hunting for the closest spot like it is a competitive sport. Park at the far end of the lot every time. That adds 400 steps round trip and takes the same amount of time as circling 3 times, hoping someone is about to leave. Hack 2. The phone pacer. You are never allowed to sit down during a phone call again. Every time your phone rings, you stand up and move around. Walk the hallway, pace the kitchen, wander the backyard. A 10-minute call can give you over 1,000 steps without a single intentional workout. Hack 3. The elevator is retired. Unless you are going to a floor above the 6th or 7th, take the stairs. Stair climbing burns calories at nearly 3 times the rate of flat walking. Your legs will also start looking better over time. That is a free bonus. Stack these 3 habits consistently, and you will hit 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day almost by accident, without ever scheduling a single walk. Rule 5. The incline multiplier. Everything up to this point works. But if you want to accelerate the process, you need to add incline walking to your routine a few times a week. This is where things get serious without getting complicated. Walking on a flat surface is solid. Walking on a steep incline is a different machine entirely. When you tilt the surface, your glutes, hamstrings, and calves have to push against gravity with every single step. The mechanical demand on your body doubles. Your heart rate rises enough to burn significantly more calories, but it stays low enough that cortisol does not spike and you stay locked in fat oxidation mode the entire time. There is a treadmill protocol that has gone massively viral, and it deserves the attention it gets. Set the incline to 12%. Set the speed to 3 miles per hour. Walk for 30 minutes. That session burns nearly as many calories as a moderate jog while keeping your hormones completely on your side. Now, I have to give you the warning I give every single person who tries this. Do not hold the handrails. I am serious. The moment you grab those rails and lean back, you have neutralized half the workout. You are transferring your body weight from your legs to your arms and turning a 12% incline into something closer to 2%. Your legs stop working hard. The whole point disappears. If 12% feels impossible to sustain without holding on, drop it to 8. Own 8 with perfect posture and free swinging arms. Then build up. The incline is not going anywhere. Add 2 or 3 of these sessions per week and your fat loss trajectory will change visibly within a month. Here's the part nobody wants to hear. I have been building up to this. You can follow every single one of these 5 rules perfectly. You can walk 10,000 steps a day, take your post-meal walks, crush the incline, stack your neat, stay in zone 2 every session. And you can still go absolutely nowhere if you eat without any awareness. Here is the cold math. 1 hour of walking burns about 300 calories. A large blended coffee drink from a popular chain can run 500 calories. That is 1 hour and 40 minutes of walking consumed in 4 minutes of sipping through a straw. 1 handful of peanut butter crackers while watching television at night. 1 oversized restaurant portion. All of it can erase the work before the work even registers. This is not me telling you to eat celery and cry, I am not here to make fitness miserable. I am telling you to be honest with yourself about the relationship between what you eat and what you want your body to do. Use your diet to create the deficit. Use walking to amplify it and keep your metabolism running efficiently. Think of nutrition as the engine and walking as the turbocharger. A turbocharger on a car with no fuel is just an expensive decoration. A modest deficit of 300 to 500 calories below your maintenance level, combined with these 5 walking rules, is genuinely hard to outrun. The belly fat will eventually run out of places to hide. Now here's your 12-week roadmap. Weeks 1 through 4. Do not try to go from 0 to 10,000 steps overnight. Open your phone, check your current daily average, and add 2,000 steps to that number. That is your only target. Focus entirely on building the habit of post-meal walks. 3 times a day, 10 minutes each. That is it. Win the habit before you chase the volume. Weeks 5 through 8. Now we raise the standard, 8,000 steps minimum every single day. No exceptions for weather, travel, or a long day at work. Start applying the neat hacks consistently. Park far, take the stairs, pace on calls. This is where the lifestyle shift starts to click. Weeks 9 through 12. This is what I call the shred phase. You are hitting 10 to 12,000 steps daily. You are adding 2 incline sessions per week. Your nutrition is dialed in. At this point, people in your life are going to start asking you what you are doing differently. The answer is that you walk a lot and you stop pretending that complicated equals effective. Here is the truth I have carried through years of training myself and coaching others. The fitness industry profits from making things seem complicated. More suffering, more supplements, more equipment. The reality is that the most effective approach is almost always the most sustainable one. Walking is the most fundamental movement pattern the human body has. We are literally built for it. It lowers stress, clears your head, protects your joints, and when you apply these 5 rules, it attacks belly fat in ways that high-intensity training biochemically cannot. The runner quits. The walker just keeps going. And 6 months later, the walker is the one who actually changed. Here is your challenge. Pick one of these 5 rules and apply it starting today. Not next Monday, today. Then add another one next week. Build the stack slowly. Come back in a month and tell me what happened. I will be right here. Now go walk somewhere.